Hi. So 61101, 85 in Siddhanta Comedy is our sutra of the day. Akah savarne dirgaha. Akah savarne dirgaha. Well, it doesn't look very overwhelming. And it's very interesting and important though. So we're going to start with the simplest way of discussing it, and then explore some of the more sophisticated questions grammatically that come into it, and that will give us a reflection of how much we already know and how much we're already able to interpret. We are by now, this will be the 1/4 of the way through the Sunday Sutras. This sutra brings us. So that's good. If you have not been practicing the sutras, reciting them, I advocate that you start. It's definitely not too late. And if you do, and by reciting I mean just having a list of the sutras and saying them out loud every day. That's it. But if you do that, they will begin to sink in, and you will recognize them as we discuss the sutras moving forward. And it will all be more fun. It will be great. And this sutra is a good example of how elegant and intricate what we are now able to explore is. So 61101, 85 in Siddhanta Comedy, Akaha Savarne Dirgaha. So Akaha, you might recognize that as Shashti of Ak. Shashti of Ak, and you will probably remember Shashti Sthana Yoga. Shashti Sthana Yoga. Shashti is associated with sthane, in other words, in place of ak. Akaha, in place of ak. And what is ak? A-i-u-r-look. A-i-u-r-look. In other words, what's sometimes called the simple vowels, leaving out the diphthongs. Aong, I-ouch. So simple vowels, a-i-u-r-look, in place of the ak, savarne, savarne. Well, savarne, saptami of savarna. So savarne, tasminiti nirdishte purvasya. We can see that means when savarna follows, or when ak precedes, savarna in place of ak. Well, we'll see. And then so then we, since we have been talking about ekadesha, we might imagine that in place of might be the ak and its savarna both. We'll see. But in place comes what? Well, dirgaha, dirgaha. So we can already have a general sense that this may say something like aks followed by their savarnas are both replaced by dirga. And in fact, if we take an example of Rama plus Atra, Rama plus Atra, so A is Ak, and Atra is of Atra is Savarna to A, and you can see now when we talked about the Akshara Samamnaya and the efforts and places of articulation, why it's so important that Hrasva A is Savarna to Dirga A. We talked about that at some length, and why the last sutra of the entire grammar is A, because then the effort of articulation of and A goes back to being different once you leave the grammar. So if that doesn't ring a bell, that's one more thing to consider in looking back on the details of the places and efforts of articulation I think I did 4 videos on those. So Rama plus Atra, Ak followed by a Savarna. The preceding and following, we're thinking, is going to be replaced by Dirgaha, probably a single Dirga. So that would be Rama plus Atra would give us Ramatra. A plus A equals A, the Dirga. So that's good. That makes sense. So let's go ahead and be a little bit more formal about it and fill in the gaps with the way we usually do. So here we are again, 6.1.101, Akaha Savarne Dirgaha. Akaha Savarne Dirgaha. Anuvrati is Ekaha Purva Parayoho, our old friends, Ekaha Purva Parayoho, Achi. So the full sutra would be Akaha Savarne Achihi Pare, Achi Pare, Purva Parayoho Ekaha Dirgaha Syat. Akaha Savarne Achi Pare, Purva Parayoho Stane Ekaha Dirgaha Syat. So when Ak is followed by a Savarna Ach, Savarne Achi Pare, Pare from Tasminiti Nirdishte Purvasya, Purva Parayoho Stane Ekaha Dirgaha Syat. So when Ak is followed by its Savarna Ach, in place of both the preceding and following, a single Dirga shall come. So here are the kind of some of the traditional examples. Rama plus Atra, Dirga plus Hrasva, Ramatra. Indu plus Udaya, Hrasva plus Hrasva, Indudaya, Dirga. Hari Ishvara, well, here's it gets a little less intuitive without this sutra. If you have a Hrasva E plus a Dirga E, that adds up to Dirga E, because they both get replaced by a single Dirga. And then the same with Peter and Urna, Pitrna. But what happens if you have Hotr plus Lurkara? Hotr plus Lurkara. Well, we're going to look at just another example, that and another example that I find interesting. So to follow up in red here, we have Hotr plus Lurkara. Now, what is the Dirga of Hotr and Lurkara? How does that work? Well, here's the thing. Lur and Ur are not actually completely Tulyasya, Prayatna, but we have a Vartaka, Rulavarni Ormita Savarnyam Vacham, Rulavarni Ormita Savarnyam Vacham. So we learned that a long time ago, and here it is, boom. So Hotr, the Ur of Hotr and the Lur of Lurkara are Savarna. So then they should be replaced by a single Dirga. But what Dirga? Well, the answer to that comes in our first discussion of Akshara Samamnaya, because then we noted the fact that Lur does not have a Dirga form. Does not have Lur and Pluta, but no Dirga. So the Dirga Sandhi of Hotr plus Lurkara is Hotrkara, a Dirga Hotrkara. Well, so that's interesting. Now, something that I find. It's here. Something that I scratch my head with to start with. Of course, because we learned this other sutra way before we got to Akasavarne Dirgaha. we have said there's a sutra that has one of those nicknames that I like, the Kukuttaruta Anukarana Sutra, Kukuttaruta Anukarana Sutra, the cock crowing imitation sutra, Ukalo Chirasvadirga Plutaha, Ukalo Chirasvadirga Plutaha. And we said that Dirga U, is the sandhi of Hrasva, Dirga, and Pluta U. But did we really believe it? Or how did that work? Well, now we know exactly how it works, or one way of describing how it works anyway. So, U ka lo Hrasva, Dirga, Pluta. The length of U is called Hrasva, Dirga, and Pluta. But where are they? So if you break it down and look at I'm not very good with mantras, so I apologize. So if you look at the Hrasva and Dirga plus that becomes Dirga by Akasavarne Dirgaha. Then you take that Dirga and you connect it with the Pluta and you have Dirga plus Pluta, and by Akasavarne Dirgaha, the outcome is again a Dirga So Dirga really is constituted by which is kind of cool. Now, digging a little bit deeper, we have said that the Anuvrti to this sutra includes achi. So there's some questions that come up about that. One of them is, where did this achi come from? It's Anuvrti, but usually we can kind of tell where it is. It's somewhere in the neighborhood. And to discuss this brings up a couple of questions I have my own opinion about a little bit. But for one thing, it highlights for me this sort of lack of complete clarity between adhikara and anuvrti. Adhikara and anuvrti. Adhikara pervades, anuvrti comes down, or as my teacher, I'm pretty sure, said once, adhikara is now known as anuvrti. In any case, there are two kinds of adhikara. And since sometime between Parnini and Patanjali, the last person who knew where adhikaras were, and the last person, maybe the same person, I don't know, who knew where the nasally pronounced vowels were, Upadeshe Janunasika it and Svaritenati Karaha, they both died without anyone having learned all that they knew, period. So by the time of Patanjali, it had to be, I mean, faked is probably not the right word, but it had to be retro-engineered. But in terms of the achi in this sutra, there's something interesting about adhikara, which is there are two kinds. One kind that follows continuously, such as Samhitayam and the Ekadesha and so on. There are a number of them where we know they just flow through all of the sutras, as we've seen with Ekaf Purva Parayoho. Now, the kind of fun other one, which is not as often discussed, are the ones that jump over intermediate sutras. And they actually have a name. And as you know, I like these little nicknames and things. And they're called Manduka Pluti. Manduka Pluti Adhikara. Manduka Pluti. Now, what is this Manduka Pluti? Well, Manduka is frog and Pluti is jump. So these are frog jumping or jumping frog adhikaras. I think that's great. And as it happens, this achi in Akasavarne Dirgaha, although it's not written anywhere, as Anuvriti isn't. It's there, and it really has a function there, which we will explain in a minute. So that's how Achi came into the sutra. But where did it come from? Well, this is Sutra 61101. It came all the way from 6177, nearly 30 sutras before. And what was 6177? It was our old friend Ikoyanachi. So Achi made a big jump all the way to Akasavarne Dirgaha. So then the next question is, so what? Why did we need Akasavarne Dirgaha here in Akasavarne Dirgaha? Why did we need Achipare? So this is the plot thickens a bit. It has a very particular reason. And to get the reason, we have to go back to, and I keep harping on this, the 4 videos I did about the Tulya and Asya, about the precise places and efforts of articulation, because that's what's at stake here. So why is Achipare here? Well, let's go back to Tulyasya Prayatnam Savarnam, because this sutra is Akasavarne, so it hangs on the Savarna. When an Ak is followed by its Savarna, well, and its effort of articulation. So the problem is, if you look at Dirga E and Sha, Dirga E and Sha, they are technically Savarna. And how is that? Well, if you go back to our places of articulation, Akuha Visarjaniyanam Kantaha, Akuha Visarjaniyanam Kantaha, and the next is Ichuya Shanam Talu, Ichuya Shanam Talu, Ichuya Shanam Talu. So E and Sh are both Talu. They have the same place of articulation. Now, to get to the next bit, we have to go to the efforts of articulation. And as I mentioned before when we were talking about this, although there are both Abhyantara and Bahya Prayatnas, only the Abhyantara Prayatna pertain to Santi. Why is that? I don't know. Yadiva Naveda. I don't know. It's just how it is. So let's look at the effort of articulation for E and Sha. So you may remember that the structure of efforts is a little bit complicated. I'll just run through them out loud, and then we'll go through the particular ones. Sprishtam prayatnam sparshanam, ishat sprishtam antasthanam, vivratam ushmanam svaranam cha, hrasvasya varnasya prayoge samvrtam prakriyadashayam tu vivratam eva. And that's what I was talking about a second ago. Why it's so important that in the grammar, the hrasva and dirga and a are both taken as vivratam, even though in prakriya dashayam to vivratam eva. So then moving on to the next part of the definition, kadayaha mavasanaha sparshaha yaralavaha antastaha. And then what comes to us, because it's special, is shashasahaha ushmanaha. Shashasahaha ushmanaha. So sha is ushmana and achaha svaraha. Achaha svaraha. vowels are svara. Well, you might think that kind of puts it away, but no, because vivartam, the effort of vivartam, are ushmanam svaranam cha. Both ushmana and svara have the effort of vivartam. So shiksha sahaha ushmanaha, that's the sh, and achaha is the e, svaraha, and both svara and ushmana have the effort of vivartam. So bingo, they are savarna. Sha and sa. I mean sha and dirga e. Why do we say dirga e? Well, we'll just leave that alone. Sha and e are savarna. So that's a problem. Because if sha and e are savarna, then there are certain terms which I may have left out, in which there would be an inappropriate substitution. But there's another sutra that we talked about, Tulyasya prayatnam savarnam, rulvarnayormita savarnyam vacham nachalau. Nachalau. What was that? Na ach halau. Na ach halau. Which says that even if a vowel and a consonant have the same place and effort of articulation, they are not savarna. They are not savarna. So it is thanks to that things don't go awry with e and sh in akas savarne dirgaha, and they don't go awry because we have made explicit in our discussion of akas savarne dirgaha that it is akas savarne achi pare. That's why achi has to be there. That's why the little frog jumped all the way from 77 to 101 to make sure that something horrible didn't happen as a result of e and sh being savarnas and having a kasavarne dirgha apply to it. So even though they are savarna, this rule does not apply to them because only the savarna ach of ak qualifies in this case. Now there is another level that is sometimes explored, which holds that Nachalau may not have, you could say, the authority to block this Sandhi happening. I don't. It certainly doesn't rely on a reading of the grammar that was provided to me, and I think it's interesting enough on its own. So there we have it. Akasavarne dirgaha, akaha savarne, achi pare, thanks to the Manduka Pluti leap of achi from ikoyanachi, purva parayoho stane, ekaha dirgaha. Take care. Thank you.